What's going on, guys? In today's video we are going to be covering a fairly new and underrated analog horror series by the name of Nolvaris, and the user who made this series goes by the same name. I'll have his channel linked below so you can check him out. But this just appeared in my recommended as I was searching for new analog horror series, and I could not help but cover this for you guys because it is just so interesting. It all takes place in this very mysterious town, and in this video we're going to be covering all of the entities of the haunted locations and so much more sinister details. If that sounds good to you, be sure to stick around until the very end. But without any more dilly-dallying, let's get right into this. The first video, Nolvaris Volume 1, opens with a shot of two children, presumably brother and sister. The brother is in a chair and talking with the older sister when they get into what appears to be an argument. The younger sister runs away, and the older brother chases after her. But the frame lingers on the room, which also has a window in it. Then we get the first glimpse at the entity who appears to be stalking the two through their window. There are no signs of any parents throughout this entire video either, so I'm assuming these two are alone and vulnerable to the monster. We then get a shot of the entity outside in the night. It emits some truly scary sounds from it. And then the camera actually freezes and we hear what sounds to be a man screaming. Perhaps this is the father of the children? We can only speculate. The video cuts to the brother again. He walks past multiple doors in a mysterious hallway. This could either be a really weird house, but more than likely it's the entity's domain. He then hears what sounds like the entity behind one of the doors, and for God knows why, decides to peek inside of it and see what's up. We see him open the door, and then the camera cuts to the entity hovering above the child's body, his little sister, who it just ripped to smithereens. And that about does it for Nolvaris Volume 1. So what did we establish about the universe in which this analog horror series takes place in this first video? Well, there is an entity called Nolvaris. He seems to be comprised mainly of decomposing flesh, as well as little voids around his body. He seems to be into stalking children and killing them. Whether this means that he isn't strong physically enough to attack adults, we don't know that yet, but we do know that he does probably have some reality warping abilities because of how the house did seem to change and get multiple doors inside of it, and it was sort of just one long hallway, almost as though he was transforming the house into the perfect setup for one of his murder sprees. The next video begins immediately where we left off, with the older brother from last time waking up after he initially passed out from the sight of his dead sister. He seems confused and scared, and the camera zooms out to reveal that he's in a dimension filled entirely with whiteness. This definitely adds to my theory earlier that he has some reality warping abilities. Eventually, after walking through nothingness for a while, the brother finds what appears to be a wooden door, similar to the ones in his house. When he walks through, though, where he ends up is entirely made of blackness. The entity appears for a split second on the screen, and the screen flashes black and white, and a beeping sound can be heard in the background, similar to an EAS, emergency alert broadcast or something like that. After stumbling around in the darkness for a bit, the brother finds a giant version of the entity who was chasing him before right in front of him in the blackness. The entity then transforms into a sort of giant version of the little sister, appearing as though he's almost mocking her death. Suddenly, his surroundings return to whiteness, and the entity appears again, this time turning into a giant version of the brother himself with his own brutalized body, mocking him again in what seems to be the same kind of way. And that appears to be the end of Nolvaris Volume 2. So this video did a couple things for the story. For one, it confirmed my reality warping theory from earlier, as the creature brings the brother into his black and white sort of hell dimension to torture him and make him agonize about the death of his sister, driving him insane and sort of taking pleasure in that before ultimately, presumably at least, finishing the brother off. But I guess we'll have to wait for more episodes to see if the brother actually returns. It also introduced us to either a new form of the entity, sort of like a Godzilla evolution, where it goes from this normal sized being to this giant sort of thing, which can emulate the appearances of other people. Either that, or that sequence wasn't real and it was in the brother's head and it was meant to symbolize something more deep. But I guess we'll also have to wait and see as the series goes on to decide whether or not either of those theories have any merit to them. Nolvaris Volume 3 starts off with a message saying that this is a recording from 2001. A boy who's holding a camera is speaking to us. We actually are getting some IRL footage for this series that's really sick. And I do have my own theories about whether this could be the brother before the incident. Possibly he is this brother we've been following before, and he sort of provoked the entity while he was here, which led to him and his sister being stalked and murdered. Or this could just be some other random kid, and I'm getting way too in and over my head. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The boy talks about how he went into these woods in order to try and summon or provoke Nolvaris, which is an urban legend circulating in his town, obviously about the very same creature which we've been witnessing and know is certainly not just a legend. He doubts this legitimacy and calls it,
and then he will appear, I think. I don't know, it sounds pretty bullshit, but I don't know.
So he keeps walking around the forest where the entity is said to be, and he ends up going incredibly deep into this forest. I mean, he walks so deep into it that he's been walking for an hour straight, so this place is pretty big. After a while of walking, he comments on the trees around him taking on much stranger shapes than usual. After he says this, the entity actually appears on the screen, almost as if it's warning us, the viewer, through the camera of what's about to happen. The boy recording then begins to hear eerie sounds all around him.
What the hell? What the hell was that?
It sort of sounds like howling or something, or some kind of call from the monster. He starts running away. Finally, a smart decision being made in analog horror, and he ends up hiding in a bush thinking he's safe. However, he then hears the entity breathing behind him, and this happens.
I heard some noises and I don't really like it. I don't know what's happening. Hello? Oh my god, what the fuck?
And that about wraps up the background story for Nolvaris. Well, what a great chapter, and it's such a shame that it has come to an end. But don't worry guys, there is still plenty more content on this channel having to do with this universe. We didn't really learn anything new about Nolvaris the entity himself, nor his powers, but what we do know from this video is that the town certainly does know of this entity, and the urban legend is something that the kids apparently talk about, probably because of the disappearances that the monster causes in the town, I would guess. But yeah, this one was really well put together. I really like when analog horror artists, even if it's hard and even if it's not the best, go ahead and compile IRL footage. So I really do respect that, and I commend the creator greatly for doing that. The next video in the series, Dabbit and Goobly Part 1, opens with a TV show that gets interrupted by an emergency alert broadcast. It's from the Hometown Police Department. What a generic name for a town. Hometown. At least we know the name now. And they are broadcasting this to do a sort of Amber Alert of sorts. There have been reports of children going missing at a children's play place called Dabbit and Goobly's Funland. The broadcaster of this EAS message managed to get a hold of a mysterious VHS tape he found at the play place. And for some reason, the company in charge of the place gave him permission to share it, possibly fearing PR consequences if they deny maybe. But even then, the tapes give them an incredibly bad look, so I don't know if it could be that. Maybe they're spreading something via the tape, like some kind of curse or something. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. The tape begins with a welcome message from Dabbit and Goobly. The purpose of said tape is apparently to cover rules and available activities at the Funland. This is one of those tapes that's probably played for child attendees in a private room, usually where there are no parents, similar to the tape they'd have you watch in Sky Zone when they lock the doors and something like that. They warn the children watching that something bad happens if the rules are broken. The animal on the left here has devil horns, so I'm assuming it's something really bad. Anyways, the first rule is never enter staff-only rooms. The second rule is only children are allowed in the Funland. The reason given is...
That's because we like them the most.
That's really fucking creepy, but alright. This must be a really strange town. An eye then appears on the screen for some reason. After which, the two animatronic friends of ours warn us do not go near the animatronics, the third rule. Again saying that something bad will happen if we ignore this. Some creepy visuals and reverse audio follows that I'll show you now.
Rule 3, don't go near the animatronics. Something bad will happen. Something bad will happen.
Something bad will happen.
Anyway, that's all the rules we have for now.
You know what? I'm gonna reverse that real quick. I'm curious.
Something bad will happen. Something bad will happen. Something bad will happen.
Yeah, I don't know, it just says the same thing but in reverse. Shit. The tape then ends with a nice goodbye message, welcoming everybody to have fun at Dabbit and Goobly. I don't know what's wrong with this town. First we have this Nolvaris guy, then we have these incidents of children going missing at Dabbit and Goobly. The owners seem extremely fishy. Like, bro, this town must be cursed or something because there is so much bad stuff going on here. There's not really a lot of input I could give or theories. It was all pretty clear cut, and the theories I did have, the small ones I already laid out to you guys. So, I mean, yeah, there's not much extra commentary on this one, so let's move on to the second part of Dabbit and Goobly, which I will warn you now, it gets much darker. As you can probably tell, this one starts with a child's hand sticking out of Goobly's mouth. As Rule 3 is presented to us, don't touch the animatronics once again. Many children have broken this important rule. Every child has a different story. Let's begin with Josh. Wait, what? That's my name. Also, every child is a different story is crazy, because that means that there's tons more of things like this that have occurred in the past in this facility. The video cuts to the front of the Funland, where a car pulls up and a child, presumably this Josh person, is dropped off. He enters the facility and is wandering in the lobby when the ball pit catches his attention. After he's done playing in the ball pit for a little while, he turns his attention to the cafe and sits down to watch the animatronics singing. Also, why is he alone this whole time? There's no workers or people at all. That's really weird. Is this just some place where parents go to send their children off to die? Holy crap, I might be onto something. Josh then, for God knows why, walks up to Goobly and shoves his hand to the back of the animatronic's throat. Like, why? Why would you do this? This makes no sense. Then, unfortunately, the video cuts back to the first shot, so I think you guys can guess what happened right there. Well, all we really learned from that video is that the rules really do matter, and if you're a child and you break them, you're going to die. I also thought it was extremely weird, like I said earlier, how literally no one else was there, and it sort of points me towards believing that this place might be some kind of front for a demonic sacrifice of children or something like that, especially considering the fact that Goobly has demon horns on his head and whatever. So yeah, that's just my theory. I'm just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks, but what else can you do? Anyways, let's move on to the final video in the series so far. It was published just around 4 or 5 days ago. It's called Flower Man. The video opens with a wheat field, before a bunch of eyes somehow appear in the sky. One of the eyes float towards the screen, and as it gets closer, the land becomes covered in darkness, which appears to be emanating from the eye. As the screen gets consumed in darkness, a red man, who maybe is the Flower Man, flashes red on the screen with a gunshot in his head. The eye appears on the screen again, which I do want to note is the same one that appeared on the VHS tape from Dabbit and Goobly, before cutting to and introducing us to the Flower Man. He waves and says hello, but right after he begs for our help. And this dialogue portion is really interesting because it seems like both Flower Man and another narrator are competing for the narrative, so I'll just play the dialogue for you here. After this conversation, it cuts back to the Flower Man, who is in the process of doing something pretty bad. So something is definitely controlling the Flower Man. I don't know if the Flower Man used to be the Red Man and became the Flower Man, or if the Red Man's controlling the Flower Man, or if the eyes are controlling the Flower Man, or if the Flower Man is the eyes. It's also very strange that these eyes have been appearing throughout every single video on the channel. Maybe Flower Man is stalking everything throughout this universe. Maybe his power scaling is much higher than even Nolvaris, but yeah, this one was a bit confusing, so I guess we will understand more as more episodes continue to come out, which I will definitely be checking out, and I absolutely want to get to the bottom of this lore with you guys. Alright guys, post-editing Josh here. I'm gonna interrupt myself for a second because I actually managed to do a Discord interview with Nolvaris. I reached out with him and he was really receptive, so I appreciate that so much. But I just wanted to share you guys some essential information about the series going forward that I got the permission to share with you guys. So this is exactly how the conversation went. Yo, hey, what's up, man? It's me, APOC. As you're aware, I've been working on a project which focuses on analyzing your analog horror series. If you're open to it, I'd love to ask you some questions about the lore and things like this in order to enhance the video even further. Okay, sure, bet bro. I'll put the answers in the video. Do Dabbit and Goobly, Flower Man, and Nolvaris take place in the same universe? If so, will we be getting any crossover episodes in the future? Yeah, I would say that Dabbit and Goobly and Nolvaris are, but not Flower Man. Is the large entity in the black and white dimension in Volume 2 the same being as the Stalker, except more powerful, similar to a Godzilla evolution? Or is the bigger entity a different thing entirely? And his answer to this was that they are different entities, but they are both Stalkers. And also he confirmed that they can in fact transform into the brother's dead body and his sister in order to mock him. That's something that did happen. He was not tripping. Next up is the footage found in volume 3 meant to depict older brother from volume 1 and 2 provoking the entity as a sort of prequel to the original videos, which is what causes the entity to follow him back to his home and stalk him and his younger sister? Or is the character in volume 3 a different character entirely? He says the guy in volume 3 is a different guy. Nolvaris had found a way to Earth, and people have started talking about him and calling him an urban legend. So the guy in volume 3 just heard the urban legend and decided to try and summon him to see if Nolvaris was real. Next question. How was the Dabbit Kids Guide VHS tape originally found by the broadcasters? So before the broadcast was made, some of the people from Hometown Department went over to the Funland to check it out. They went in and started looking in rooms when they found a cassette tape titled Funland Guide in an unlocked staff room. This event happened off camera. Next question. Why did the company representing Dabbit and Dooblies decide to allow the township to release their VHS tape, knowing it would give them a bad look? Is there some kind of curse that spreads via the tape or something like that? So there was actually 2 tapes of the same. The first tape was made by the founders, which was completely normal, while the second tape was actually made by Dabbit and Goobly themselves. They found the first normal tape, destroyed it, and replaced it with their terrifying tape. The founders never found out because they thought it was their tape. Next question. Why is Josh the only person inside of the Funland when he gets dropped off? Is the building secretly a place where people send their kids to be sacrificed for riches or something? Or is something else entirely going on here? So when Josh came, the Funland was closed, so obviously no one was there. The security guard did lock the door, but Dabbit and Goobly secretly opened it when they saw Josh. Final question. Which lore do you plan on expanding next for your series if you want to share with the audience? For Flower Man, I don't know yet. I made him to be one video and not a series, but maybe someday I'll make a sequel, who knows. As for Dabbit and Goobly, I'm currently working on part 3. The lore will kind of be a secret, but I could say this, the founders will be involved. For Nolvaris, I haven't started on volume 4 yet, but I think it will be something similar to volume 1 and 2, but with the twist I'm currently thinking of. So yeah, that clears a lot of things up, and he even said that if I have any ideas, feel free to lay them on him and he might implement them in the series. So yeah, a real honor to have that opportunity. But yeah, that's really all I have to say for now. I do hope you enjoyed. Congratulations to Nolvaris for hitting 200 subscribers. I will leave his channel link down below. And I highly encourage you guys to check out all of the videos yourself as well. Give him a nice little comment. And comment down below on this video what you guys think about this series, what your theories are. Be sure to leave a like and a subscribe. And yeah, God bless you guys. Jesus loves you. Have a great day. See you later.